Why are people moving to Southern Oregon? It's a desirable place to be, and there's no hiding that fact. I mean, the secret's out, and the population's been growing about 1% a year, which is almost 3 times the average growth rate in the US. But what specifically is it about Southern Oregon that's attracting so many people to move here instead of other parts of the West Coast? I'm going to take a look at that today and also share with you one other area of the West Coast that compares very, very well to Southern Oregon. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Brian Simmons here with eXp Realty in Southern Oregon. It is November 30th, and it is now officially time to get up in that attic, get those Christmas lights out, go decorate the house, get in the holiday spirit, ready or not. It is time. Listen, if you could do me a quick favor and just click on the like button, hit the subscribe icon, and share this video with anybody you know looking to buy or sell real estate in Southern Oregon, I'd really appreciate that. Before we dive into why people are moving to Southern Oregon, I'm going to share a little bit of information with you about the local real estate market today and just give you a sense of what's going on here. So real quick, in Jackson and Josephine counties is what we're going to look at here today. And I want to preface this data with the fact that this is coming off of a holiday week. Real estate activity generally is very, very low in that week. So I want to preface this whole thing with that. Okay. As of this morning, between the two counties, we had 1,088 active single-family residential listings on the market. That's down from 1,127, which is a pretty sizable decrease. Okay. 34 new listings hit the market, which is an all-time low. I've never seen it that low before. But again, a holiday week, it makes sense. 75 price changes, 17 homes came back on the market, 53 went pending, which is down from the 70 range that we've been seeing for the last several weeks. I actually am surprised it's a little higher than I thought it was going to be at 53. So good news there, I would say. 39 closed, all-time low. 44 expired, withdrawn, or canceled. And that all total brings us to 28 weeks worth of inventory if we were to look at just that 1 week, which is like 7 months, which is a lot. If you look at the weeks worth of inventory and you convert it to months, which is an absorption rate is what that's called, and you do it for the last actual full month we had, which is October, we're still under 3 months worth of inventory when you look at a more or longer view. And that's how you actually should do it. I look at it just weekly because that's how my data is. But the real, better metric is to look at it on a monthly basis. And it's been stable. It's been still under 3 months worth of inventory for several months in a row now. So now, let's talk about why people are moving to Southern Oregon. I have 5 good reasons why. And the first one is the cost of living. Right. When you think about the people that are moving to Southern Oregon, in my experience in helping a lot of them move here, more often than not, you're getting people that are retiring here. And so cost of living is something that's very important to them. And when you look at the cost of living of other areas of the West Coast, Southern Oregon is actually one of the lowest you're going to find. All right. And so when you look at Southern Oregon on the bestplaces.net, their index for cost of living is what I looked at. And the way to understand this number is that the national average is 100. Okay, so you think of that as a baseline. National average is 100. Southern Oregon's index was 102, so barely above the national average. For comparison's sake, Portland was 132, Eugene 107, Bend 131. Okay, so all those areas quite a bit more expensive than where we're at here in Southern Oregon. Redding 107. Sacramento 121, Seattle 167, San Francisco 244. It's crazy. So when you look at other parts of the West Coast, you can see that Southern Oregon actually is a very affordable place to be. And so when you consider that, the cost of living being very low, that's something that appeals to a lot of people that are budget conscious because maybe they're on a fixed income with a pension or retirement or whatever the case may be. That's something that's very, very important, and that does draw a lot of people here. Number 2 is that it's actually very easy to get in and out of Southern Oregon. So we have a regional airport that flies to a lot of different locations: Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Salt Lake, Denver, all these different places that are very easy to then jump to other parts of the country and world. So that's very, very convenient. Okay. And a lot of other parts of the West Coast may not have that. Right. So we do have that, and that's very nice. We also are right on the Interstate 5. Okay. So being right on I-5 makes it nice and simple to go north or south, obviously. So that's a really good thing that we have going for us. It's very, very easy to get in and out of. So if you want to get away for the weekend, there's a lot of good options for that. 3-hour drive, you could be at the coast, you could be in Bend, a quick 1-hour flight, you could be all over the West Coast, really. So there's a lot of great stuff there for the location of where we're at. Number 3 is climate. And we are in a much more moderate climate than most other parts of Oregon, okay? You look at the northern part of Oregon, you have Portland and Eugene and Salem and that whole area, very, very rainy, okay? A lot more rain than we get down here in Southern Oregon. Or you go over to the eastern side of the state and it gets very, very cold. So we're kind of in this little pocket where we don't get that extreme cold that you get in eastern Oregon. We don't get the rain that you get in northern Oregon. And so we're kind of in a nice temperate, moderate pocket here. And so the way that looks in average rainfall per year is only about 26 inches per year here in southern Oregon, whereas Portland, Eugene's almost double that. Okay, and the national average is 38, so we're quite a bit below the national average, right? So great climate here. We don't get the super crazy extreme heat like you would in Arizona and places like that. We do get warm for sure. We get multiple days above 100 generally in a year, but we also don't get the extreme cold. We might get into the 20s and maybe even dip in below that a couple times, but again, it's not common. So overall, when you're looking for a climate that is, conducive to outdoor activity and to not just being in a gloomy rain cloud all year, this is a great spot for it. Okay, and that's one of my favorite things about the area is the weather's generally really, really good. Number 4 is recreation. There are tons of recreational opportunities here. When you think about, again, the type of person that's moving and relocating to this type of an area, having stuff to do outdoors is important, okay? And so when you're here in Southern Oregon, there's tons of that type of stuff. There's lots of golf, and there's hiking, and there's biking, and there's rafting, and there's fishing, and hunting, and camping. There's skiing, there's boating, you name it. There's all sorts of outdoor recreational activities, and that's a very, very big attraction for people coming to this area. And again, that's a very good compliment to the weather because we actually have weather that's good enough to enjoy all of that outdoor activity. So those two complement each other very, very well. Number 5 is medical. We have great medical here in Southern Oregon. The hospital system is very good. There's loads of different specialists. So if something were to happen, there's a good chance you don't even have to go outside of the valley here to get care. And that's important, okay? Being able to have a lot of different options for your healthcare here is something that you have. Great medical system, great access, and that's something that is very attractive here and not something that a lot of other areas have. Now, my goal with this channel is simply to provide you with honest and valuable information so that you can make the best decision for yourself and for your family on where you want to live. Of course, I'd love to sell you a home here in Southern Oregon, but if you're considering a move here, there's actually some other areas that compare very, very well to Southern Oregon. And one of those areas is the Tri-Cities area of Washington. That's in the southeast corner of Washington, just across the Columbia River from Oregon. So on paper, the areas compare really, really well. The cost of living in the Tri-Cities area of Washington is a 98.3 on their index versus the 102.3 here in Southern Oregon. So pretty comparable in that regard. Climate is a little bit drier over there. They're going to experience about 83 days of precipitation a year versus the 96 that we're going to get here in Southern Oregon. And so not a substantial difference, but a couple weeks more of rain, here versus there. Both are still well below the national average. They do have not big, but they do have an airport there in that area, similar size to what we have here. Plenty of, access to get to other big hubs. And so that's good. They also have an interstate going through there. So a lot of the same things that we have here in Southern Oregon, they have there. And so if I were looking personally to make a move to an area like Southern Oregon, that's something that I would put on my short list to evaluate. It may not be for you. Southern Oregon may not be for you. But if you're going to do some research, those are the two that I would be saying to take a look at. One big difference, though, between that area and Southern Oregon is Washington has a sales tax and no personal income tax. Oregon has personal income tax and no sales tax. So those are pretty big differences there. So anyways, I hope you found this information helpful. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if you are already a resident of Southern Oregon, I'd love to hear what actually brought you here originally, or your family, whoever it was that came here originally. What brought you here? What attracted you here? If you're looking to do any house hunting or you want to know what your home's worth, check out my website, buyingsouthernoregon.com. And please don't forget to click the like button, hit the subscribe icon, and share this video with anybody you know looking to buy or sell real estate in Southern Oregon. Hope you have a great one. We'll see you next week.